Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I have got a load workup in 6.5 Creedmoor. Now, we haven't done a reloading video on the channel for a while, mostly because they instantly get demonetized and I could use a little extra push. And it's always nice to have videos on the channel monetized, but whatever happens with the status of that on this video, I am not going to care because, like I said, we haven't done a load workup video in a while, and I'd like to get back to that a little bit. The components for today, I'll briefly run through them and then we'll talk about why on some of them. I've got new Starline brass, 26 pieces of it left here that are new and unfired. By the end of today, I'll have, I think, 250 pieces of the small rifle primer Starline brass fire formed in this gun and ready to load up again. We've got the Hornady 140 grain boat tail hollow point match bullet. I've been wanting to try this one out for a while. We've got CCI 450 small rifle magnum primers, and the powder, which is probably the biggest test of the day, that is Shooter's World 4350, and I have got an 8-pound jug of it here. This is the main reason for the test. What I'm looking for today is an economical, high-volume shooting load for 6.5 Creedmoor that's fairly capable range-wise. I've had this box of 140 grain match bullets for a while. Generally, these can be found for around $30 a hundred. And the Sierra Match Kings that I've been shooting lately, the 142s, they run more at like $50 a hundred if you can actually find them right now. So I'm hoping we can get something decent with that bullet. The powder, I was having trouble getting H4350, and I've seen this jug of Shooter's World 4350 in my local gun shop, and it sat there for over a year and nobody bought it because the price they had on this thing was exorbitant. Well, it had sat there for a year. I was in the gun shop one day bargaining back and forth, and I made an offer on this jug of powder. I said, hey, I'll take that off your hands for X number of dollars, which was what I thought was a good price. And they said, yeah, sure, it's been sitting here for a while, you can have it at that. So I've got the 8-pound jug of it here, and I kind of regretted that. After I bought it, I realized that this stuff is way, way, way slower burning than H4350. According to the Shooter's World load manual, their 4350 is the slowest. I think H4350 would be the fastest, then IMR 4350, Accurate 4350, and then Shooter's World 4350. So the velocities we're going to get today are probably not going to be anywhere near what I'm used to with H4350. Just as an idea, what I've been loading with H4350 and the 142 grain Sierra Match King is 41.6 grains of that H4350 and getting about 2715 for the velocity on that. The velocity they quote on the bottle for 140 grain Sierra Match King at 41.3 grains is 2641, and I'm kind of guessing that that's a 26-inch barrel. We've got a 24-inch barrel. Now, the digging I was doing on this powder, Shooter's World load manual data here that's available online, they show all the way up to 43.3 grains in this class of bullet weight, but that's with the 140 grain Berger hybrid target. I was seeing data online from guys shooting this powder close to 44 grains and not having any pressure signs with a 140 grain bullet. Because I really don't know what to expect with this bullet and this powder combination, we're going to shoot a probably 5 to 10 shot string of charges that are half grain apart and just step it up. See where the velocity is, see what pressure signs we're getting, and if we can get anywhere near to, if we can get 2650 out of the 24-inch barrel, I will be happy. If I could get 2700, closer to where I'm shooting with H4350, I'd be real happy. So that's what we're going to start out with in this load workup. This brass is new, so I need to true up the necks a little bit. So let's get everything off the bench here, and we'll start with the brass prep. I should probably get a better background over here so it's not just gray wall. Maybe someday. So first off, I know that my sizing die is already set. This is my current process. I'm going to pull the expander mandrel and decapping pin out, and we're going to lightly lube the outside of the case and the outside of the neck with some Imperial sizing die wax, very lightly, and then run that up into the die. There was barely any work done there. You know what, I may even skip the lube. We're just straightening out the necks, basically, because as they come from Starline and most brass that I've bought, you can see the neck isn't quite perfect there. It's got a little bit of a flat side. So I'm just gonna run these all through the press here. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna add any more lube. That little bit that's in the die seems to be plenty. So that's 26 pieces through the sizing die. I'll pop that out and pop in an expanding mandrel. I believe I've got a 282 mandrel in here right now. Yes, let me switch that out for the 262. And I'm using this 21st century expander die with the little window. That's kind of nice. Really nothing to this. I'm just going to run these all up through, and that is not deep enough. Because I had it set for 30-06 length cases loading 280 Ackley. Tell you what, guys, because of this lock and load bushing system that makes adjustments like this difficult, I'm about to look into a new single stage press. Not quite time yet, but it's getting there. Yeah, I need to go down just a little bit more to make sure I'm not making a donut. I can just barely see that window there. Okay, now I know I'm getting all the way up onto the mandrel, so we'll call that good. And again, just the little residual lubrication on that mandrel seems to be doing just fine. Not a lot of friction there at all. Alright, and then I'll run through each of these with a chamfer deburr tool. Alright, I believe we are ready for primer and powder. Tell you what though, yeah, let's do primers. Dump 26 in my tray there. I still have not gotten around to replacing this priming tool. As you guys know, I kind of despise this priming tool, but it's what we got. I need to replace the primer ram. I think I still have the large rifle primer one in there, and this is small rifle primer brass. I think I mentioned we're using the CCI 450 primer. There, I think we're ready. Yeah, nice and smooth. Compared to that Nosler brass I have been working with in 280 Ackley, these primer pockets feel pretty loose. But they all They are small primer pockets, so they should hold up a little bit better than large ones, just because there's more material in the head of the case there. Oh no. Got one upside down. That's one thing I hate about this. Dang it. I hate about this priming tool. It likes to flip small primers. Seems like when you've got a tray made for both small and large primers, it doesn't work all that great with small primers. Very carefully decap this here. If that primer pocket was really tight or it flipped like that, I might not have even bothered. And there we go. The next thing we need to do is find a bullet seating depth. So I suppose I'll open up this box of bullets. Tell you what, those are some good looking bullets. I'm going to take a few minutes, grab my comparator case here. Yeah, this is a 142 Sierra Match King that was in that case. It's a little sleeker than that 140 Hornady, but yeah, it's a little different for sure. I'll set that one aside so I don't get confused. And I'm probably going to shut off the video for a minute. You guys have seen me do this probably 100 times, but I'm going to go find the jam point with this bullet in my rifle, and we'll come back after that. Alright, so as I measured in my rifle, which is sitting right here, at the lands, we were not gonna fit into the magazine. Well, it fit into the magazine, but it wouldn't fit up into the action. So I just went with pretty darn close to where I had the last bullet, which was a cartridge-based ogive of about 2.235. And I think that will work out all right. If not, we'll try some different seating depths. My one concern is that the boat tail of the bullet starts right at the neck shoulder junction. I don't know if that can be an accuracy problem or not. We'll find out. The charge weights. I want to go from 41 grains up to 44 grains. So we're going to shoot 7 shots in half grain increments. If we run into pressure, I'll stop and pull the rest, but I think that is a good starting point. For today, and what I've been using for most of the loading I've been doing, I'm going to use the Chargemaster Link. Now this is very similar to the Chargemaster Lite, except this is the new version. They've reversed the buttons, so right-handed people don't accidentally hit the power button all the time. And they've made it so that you have to hold the power button for 3 seconds. That function alone has made it worth it. When I tried out I guess I better calibrate my scale since I accidentally hit the button there. I'm going to cancel that. We'll do that in a second here, so that I'm not talking and trying to calibrate it at the same time. Anyway, when I tried out the Chargemaster Lite, I was constantly hitting that power button, and it's a very light press that it takes to hit it. I was constantly hitting it, turning the scale off right in the middle of what I was doing. So I sent it back because I think that was a major design flaw. And I ordered the Chargemaster Link, and I've been nothing but happy with this. All right, now I'll go ahead and calibrate it. I'm not gonna do an in-depth video of this, I don't think. I filmed one at one point There's lots of other ones out there on YouTube, and I don't really have a unique perspective on it, so. All right, that is 0. We'll put 50 on, stable, 100, stable, and we got 100 grams. We got 50 grams, got 0, a beep, hit switch back to grains, and we are ready to go. So I'll put my powder pan on, 0 that out, and we will start at 41 grains. This thing is super handy. It is maybe not any faster than my old Lee scoop and trickle up method, but it seems to be just as accurate. I'm consistently within 1/10, and that's fine. So I'll start from the bottom up here. That was 41. Oh, and it's on auto mode. I'm gonna cancel that. Make sure I've got auto mode turned off, because each one of these charge weights will be different. There, it stayed in manual mode. I should probably be dropping these kind of slow, because we're going to have a full case of powder. All right, and you get the idea. I'm going to load up the rest of these, and then we'll get to bullet seating. All right, bullet seating. So even at that 44 grains, we've got a nice full case of powder, but I don't think it's going to be compressed. We are sitting below the neck. Remember I said the start of the boat tail was right at the neck, so it'll be pressing into the powder just a tiny bit, just with that boat tail, but there's going to be plenty of room in the case. So let's seat the first bullet here. I've got the micro jest seating stem on the top here, backed out quite a ways. We'll go down here to 0, and then see how far I've got to go. 2.235 inches, and I'm at 2.98. So I've got 63 thousandths to go here. So I'll go down 50. Let's go 60 thousandths down and see where that puts us. My math must have been off. We got 2.226 or 227. I'm gonna back off. I'm gonna back off 8 thousandths for the next one. I'll just remember that that one is seated a tiny bit deeper. 2.236, that's close enough. I'm going to take a quick check and make sure that fits in my gun. Yeah, no problem there. Not hearing any powder crunching yet. Like I said, I don't think we're going to. There, I heard a tiny bit of powder, but not anything drastic whatsoever. Yeah, just a tiny bit. All right. I think I've got enough light to shoot these over the chronograph. If not, we'll at least get pressure readings. So let's jump out and do that real quick. All right, guys, foamy's in my ears. Suppressor on the end of the gun. I will talk about the rifle, the suppressor, the scope, all of that when we actually get to shooting groups with this load. But for now, we're just going to try to get some pressure and velocity data. I forget how stupid light the recoil on this is. All right. No pressure signs at all. Even less primer cratering than usual. chronograph did not pick up. I'm gonna adjust it just a little bit. Nice easy bolt lift, no pressure signs. Okay, we're up to a normal level of primer cratering, and I believe we are at 43 grains. I really wish I had some velocity data, but oh well. I'm not to the point of buying a lab radar yet. Okay, and there I have the tiniest bit of an ejector circle at 43 grains. Just a tiny bit. Let's try 43 and a half. Nice easy bolt lift. Tiny bit of an ejector circle is still there. Like barely noticeable. Fingernail doesn't catch it or anything. It's just slightly shiny. 44 grains. Nice easy bolt lift. Same primer cratering as I normally get with this gun. I need to have this firing pin bushed. Ah, there it is. It took me forever to find that ejector circle. It is there, but it is so faint, it doesn't even matter. Wish I had some velocities on that, but since I don't, I'll load up just a few groups for accuracy testing. We'll get the rest of that brass fire formed, and I'll probably shoot that a different day, because I would like to get some velocity data on this load. All right, folks, back down at the bench. We're gonna load up an accuracy test that I'm gonna shoot at 50 yards. I should show you the brass, but you're probably not gonna see anything on it, because even in the good light, I can just barely see a tiny bit of a shiny spot right here. And it starts at 42 and a half grains and goes up to 44, but it doesn't really change in there. It doesn't get any worse, and I can't feel it with my finger on the brass. Can't get a fingernail to catch on it. Nothing. So I'm not worried about it at all. I'm gonna go ahead and test for accuracy, clear up to that 44 grain mark. Could we go higher? Who knows? Now we are starting to get a very full case of powder. Nothing compressed, just moving the powder out of the way a little bit. Clear up there at 43 and a half and 44 grains, but nothing major. Also, I'm gonna note, I normally would go 4/10 of a grain with a 40 grain powder class cartridge. Because I went with a half grain on my initial pressure test, I'm gonna go ahead and do that here too. I'm gonna start at 42 and a half grains, and we're gonna go up to 44 grains. Now I've got 24 pieces of brass here left, so that 42 and a half grains will just be a 4-shot group at 50 yards, but I'm not too worried about that. I'm getting all of my numbers written down here. I'm getting everything in my book so that I can repeat this at a later time. I'm gonna load up these charges here, and we'll get out to the 50-yard range, shoot them, see what kind of accuracy, see what kind of velocity, see how tight numbers we can get. Let's do it. All right, folks, so I shot that load workout from 42 and a half to 44 grains of the Shooter's World 4350, and then my camera died, corrupted the file, and I lost that video. I have got to learn to start with a full battery in the camera, otherwise things like that can happen. Anyway, it doesn't really matter because of what I'm about to tell you here, so let's just jump ahead here because I had to repeat the tests anyway. As soon as I finished shooting the groups, I picked up the gun off the bench to take it inside and heard a rattle. close the bolt, because the bolt does make a little bit of a rattle when it moves around. Still a rattle when I move the gun. Turns out the scope bases had come loose, which I didn't even consider as a possibility before that minute, because I had torqued and Loctited these scope bases when I installed this scope. How it came undone, I don't know. But anyway, I have retorqued the scope base screws and re-Loctited them, and then it's been 45-ish, maybe close to 48 hours since I did that. So the Loctite should be good and set up. We should be good to shoot. I will have to re-zero this scope at 100 yards. The zero is off somewhat from what it was, somewhat expectedly. But we should be in an okay position to try this again. On that last set of groups, the top two charges at 43.5 and 44 grains are more pressure than I want to shoot. I could tell it on the brass. I don't really want to run that high a load in this gun. So what I've done is to reload. I found some brass that I'd prepped before, and I loaded up one more group each of the 42.5 grain and the 43 grain load of Shooter's World 4350. And then I've got a third group to shoot, and that is going to be with a 41.2 grain charge of H4350. Now that charge is below the maximum for H4350, and it's a charge that I use quite a bit for the 142 grain Sierra Match King, though 41.6 is what I had loaded up there. So anyway, there's been 2 shots through the barrel here. I'm going to get in my earplugs, and we'll shoot another couple groups here at 50 yards and see what happens with this 142 or this 140 grain Hornady boat tail hollow point. I am going to feed off the magazine again, because this load will definitely be fed off the magazine if I end up shooting with it. It is about 90% humidity today and a little over 90 degrees. The rifle has been outside, the scope's been outside, the camera has been outside for about an hour now, and I think we've got a good clear picture. I can see nicely through the scope. All of the fogging is off of the lenses, so that's a good place to start. Let's see what kind of groups we can get with a properly torqued scope base. The 2 shots that you see down there are sighter shots. Pretty sure I got a decent adjustment dialed in. Alright, point of impact is somewhere near decent. It looks like a 2590s velocity on that first shot, which is exactly what I expected. Alright, that is more of the accuracy I expected. I'm guessing 0.4 at 50 yards there, so around the 0.8 territory. That's perfect. I couldn't ask for any better than that. I'm going to let the gun cool down for 5 to 10 minutes here, and then we'll shoot the next charge. 43 grains of Shooter's World 4350. Getting a little mirage off the suppressor now. I really do need to get a cover ordered for that. And I love shooting this rifle. I think I'll probably say that every time I shoot it, but it is just amazing to shoot. Alright, and look at that, the groups are fantastic as well. Looks like we're still under 2,600 feet per second for a velocity. That's alright, I guess. me give the barrel another few minutes, and then we'll shoot the group with H4350. All right, let's try the H4350. Just so I don't get too close to my target camera, we'll go with that bottom middle target. Oh, and I didn't pick up a velocity. I was really hoping to get that. Alright, that's pretty darn good there. Maybe not quite as good as the Shooter's World groups. And I didn't pick up any velocities. I would expect to be about the 2,700 feet per second mark. About 100 feet per second. But I guess the light has just gotten to the point where my optical chronograph won't pick up. With how many bolt actions I shoot, I really should consider getting the Magneto Speed Sporter. That would probably be my best option for picking up velocities, because even though there should be plenty of light, I mean, we've got an hour and a half until sunset. It is kind of a shaded area here in all these trees, and maybe it's just not getting enough light to pick up. Maybe I might be shooting down too close to the sensors. I don't know. But in any case, that doesn't matter that much. We got the velocities that I really wanted for the test for the Shooter's World powders. They're down around the 2,600 feet per second mark. So let's get down to the bench and put some calipers on these groups. All right, folks, so we're down here at the bench taking a look at the target. We've got a 0.37 inch group on the first one, 0.41 on the second one. So that was 42.5 and 43 grains of Shooter's World 4350. Then with the H4350, you got 0.47 inches. Keep in mind that these groups were shot at 50 yards, so you can double those if you want 100-yard group equivalents. So the question now is, what's next for this bullet? Well, I think what we're going to have to do is probably do an H4350 load workup, and I might find another powder to try with it as well. For now, I think as a good cheap plinking load, since I have a full 8-pound jug of the Shooter's World 4350, either one of these loads will do just fine. Shooting at just under 2,600 feet per second should still be able to make hits pretty easily out to 500 or 600 yards, and it's just a matter of putting a different number in the ballistics calculator. So those would be just fine. And since these bullets are something like 30 bucks a box, or even a little bit under, and I've got a ton of that powder, that'll make a decent load. I'll probably go with the 42.5 just for a little less pressure, and I might do a seating depth test with that in the future. We will see. Anyway, I am super happy with this bullet so far. I don't know why exactly, but I didn't expect it to shoot quite this good. I am going to have to do some shooting at 100 yards and see what happens there, but again, we'll probably do that when we test H4350s and other powders that can get up to the 27 or 2750 mark that we normally try to shoot for with a 140 grain bullet in 6.5 Creedmoor. So anyway, super good results in today's test. Around the 0.7 to 0.8 MOA mark, somewhere in there, and I am super happy with that. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm hoping to be doing some more reloading oriented videos here in the next couple of months, so make sure to come back and check those out. Again, thanks for watching, and y'all have a good one.